Hi guys, welcome back to Bakulumpe TV. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I need some numbers. I haven't been so active, but I'll be so active going forward from today. Like our page on Facebook, as well as subscribing to our YouTube page. Thank you so much. So today I just want to talk about an incident that occurred in Zambia. So there's this guy, this Zambian guy, he experienced racism. So I want to find out what really happened in that video. So I'm going to react to that. But the main purpose for this video is not just about that, but it's just something bigger than that. So let's look at what he said, what he presented for us to understand about racism in Zambia. So let's go.
Racism is becoming a problem in Zambia. I recently experienced something that I've been seeing a lot of on TikTok, where people are saying every time I'm somewhere where there's a lot of white people, it's like they get to have higher priority. I was at this park the other day, I was waiting for my friend.
So here, what he's saying that the white people in Zambia, they get a higher priority than the locals. So that's just one point there. Just to note, I'll talk about that.
And I was only going to be at this restaurant maybe for like 5-10 minutes max. This same restaurant had an outdoor seating that was it wasn't even like, it was just an outdoor seating anyways. I sat there, and then not long after, this group of white people passed, and then they looked at me weirdly. I am familiar with that look. I literally knew what that meant. I was like, the KKK. So they passed. I forgot about them, and then I think 3 minutes later or whatever, this waiter comes to me and says, "Hi, so excuse me, those guys would like to sit here, so I was wondering if you could move. You know, since you're alone, I figured it's not a big deal. Could you like just sit elsewhere?" I was like, "What? Like, repeat that again. Like, say it again. Are you sure?" So the plan was for me to be there for like 5 minutes, as I mentioned, but after they said that, I was like, I'm spending my entire day here. I'm not going anywhere. I didn't even want to buy any food. So I didn't even want to buy any food, but I was like, because of this, these guys have just changed my plans for this entire day. As long as they're not here, as long as they're here, I'm not going anywhere. And I don't really understand what's the issue is with white people, you know? Go to your countries, you're racist against us. You come to our countries, you try to be racist to us in our own space.
All right. So I think for me, I've picked up 2 points there. Number one, the Wazungus, the white people in Zambia, they're given higher priority than the locals. Number two, what he says that because of the way they looked at him, so he concluded that those guys are racist, and because the waiter came and asked him to move, that also just gave him that a conclusive sort of idea that these guys are racist because they asked him to move. I don't think it's racism as per se. That's what I think. I think what's happening in Zambia is that is on point number one, where he says they're given priority. The Wazungus, yes, the white people in Zambia, they're given priority. That's true. Why? Is it because they are racist? No, it's because of us. It's the way the system has been made since before independence. Before independence, the white people had the privilege. And after independence, we've maintained that privilege. And that privilege, that idea of privilege is ingrained in us, okay, such that we would give them priority in Zambia. And basically, that's what that waiter did. So the waiter looked at this guy, he's like, oh, he's sitting there. Let me go and ask him to move, because that spot is good and it's just going to be good for the white people. And I don't believe these white Bazungus could have said, can you tell that guy to move? So I believe what could have happened is that that waiter just went there direct and said, hey, can you move, so that you can give priority to that, because this is what is ingrained in Zambian society. I do agree with other people that have reacted to this. For example, I saw a video of Mwekesa. His name, I think, is Zach Mwekesa, who also reacted to this. it's not really racism, but it's something to do with how we provide white people in Zambia with a privilege. And I believe when a person goes to an area where he finds that people are just overdoing, giving you privilege, giving you access, full 100% access for anything you ask for, you become accustomed to that. So you're happy. You become happy to live in that kind of environment. Okay. But if you're living in a place where people are like, for example, what's happening in South Africa, I think everybody there who is foreigner is he has to check his back, just to check who's coming behind him. You see what I mean? But if you're in a country like Zambia or white, they'll give you this kind of welcome, this kind of respect. The respect with fear. I don't know how to describe that. That kind of respect where instead of just calling you by your name, hi John, they'll call you, hi boss John, hi boss John. Oh, bosses. Oh, they even say that, oh, you are wise, you are intelligent, you are what?
Without your hand, we are nothing. Without the white people, without the white men, there is no life. Africa to be Africa, it must be Europe. Go see how South Africa looks like today. The white people built it, South Africa. Beautiful South Africa. That's because of you white people. You are a great kingdom. You are blessed by God to be who you are today. God bless you. You are fighting hands. Thank you. I love you. I want to be somewhere. You go connect me with that world in America.
So, so you see, this is how it is. When we're growing up, you hear big people saying, oh, you have to eat like white people. You have to behave like white people. Speak good English, speak correct English, do this, do this. So they try to mold you towards being a white person. A fancy restaurant, like just at a hotel somewhere, you eat with hands, they laugh at you. So now you are struggling to cut with knife and fork because you want to be part of. Otherwise, they will laugh at you. Okay? So you need to know how to eat like white people. You need to know how to not laugh, not talk too much when you're eating. You need to close your mouth when you're chewing, because white people, that's how they eat. This kind of information, you're growing up, you're getting this kind of information. The kids get taught. As a result, their mind is about, oh, white person as a reference point, and they can't think properly. So that's how it is. Let's hear from this guy. Let's see what this guy is
I
going to
talk
say.
about white privilege and racism in Zambia, and I talk about systematic racism and the way that racism can be embedded in people's minds through the way that they've been socialized, and largely due to the legacy of colonialism. And I don't think anyone can deny that white privilege exists here in Zambia as much as it exists anywhere. I go somewhere, I get preferential treatment, I refuse the preferential treatment.
You say he said, I don't think white privilege exists anywhere than it is here in Zambia. You see, we hear a lot of black Americans complaining about, oh, white privilege, white privilege. Man, you've never seen white privilege. We go to countries in Africa, that's where you see white privilege. A real white person lives in Africa. Those guys, they're given privilege by the system. The system gives them privilege. Okay? Maybe except even in South Africa. I think everywhere they're given that privilege. So it's a system and it's a mindset we took from. That's what we benefited from colonialism, basically. Basically that. Okay. So we took all this from the time of colonial rule, and then we brought it in. It's still current now. So listen to what it says, and then talk about other things.
But it's usually offered just because I have pale skin. Now, recently there was an influencer here in Zambia who made some content about her ordering a drink in a cafe and waiting a considerable amount of time, and then some white people who came in after her being served before her. And it could be racism. And she went on to say that some Indian chaps were sat on a wall that she'd been refused by security to sit on. And again, that was racism. Now, in both cases, it might have been racism. It's not for me to say. However, these are petty matters. When you're living in a country where the legacy of colonialism means that much of the land is owned by white people, you've got to ask more serious and deeper questions. When you look at the influence white people have in your society, when they are such a minority, you've got to ask about that. Comes to investment opportunities or opportunities to take out loans in order to be able to start up or kickstart businesses, white people are preferred. That's what you should be talking about. It's really important if we're going to call out the real deep infrastructural levels of racism, that we don't get distracted by the superficial. And I say that as someone who sees themselves as an ally and an advocate for peoples whose voices are sometimes muted. Because of my platform, I have an opportunity to amplify voices, but I'm not going to amplify a voice of someone whose drink was delayed in a cafe or because they couldn't sit on a wall. I want to fight for real racial justice, not the superficial. Are you with me?
All right. So talking about this racism experienced by our friend there, the first guy, this guy here in the picture here. So if we talk about the racism he experienced, I would call that superficial, just like Big Fat Man. That's what he calls himself. I'll check his name on Facebook. It's called Fat Man, something like that. Just like what he said there, this is superficial. This is nothing. Okay, and this is the kind of content that we tend to create to post just to steer emotions. Oh, he told me this. Oh, he told me this. That is not going to solve the problems that we are facing in Africa in general. Okay, the problem we are facing in general in Africa is self-imposed. If we talk about its white privilege, it's just self-imposed. It's something that we've grown up with, and not only us who are young or those who are younger than us, but the other ones who are now the ruling class, those people in government, those people in positions where they can make decisions. They have that kind of problem as well. So you find that when the Mzungu comes, they give him. He wants to say, I'm an investor. They don't. I don't know how much what we check. How do we vet them that this guy is a real investor? What does he come with? Do we say, can you deposit money in the bank? Or we just say, oh, he's an investor. Oh, yeah, he's a what? Oh, where do you want? Oh, I want a land here. They give you big acres of land. You go to the chief, they just give them big acres of land, even dispersing your own people. That's how it works. That's how it works, unfortunately. So these chiefdoms, they've got people they've got their own people. But these white people, when they come in, they buy these huge hectares, thousands and thousands of hectares. They dislodge all this. They displace people who are living there, who have had history on that land. Yeah, so basically, we have to be talking about things that are tangible, big things. What things that give the white people privilege that affects us economically, okay? Such as land, for example, they get big chunks of land, because these are things that will be problems later on in future, like what's happening in South Africa as the population is increasing. If you can just imagine, 1964, we're about 3 million people in Zambia. Now we're about 25 million people, but we're still giving out these hectares and hectares of land, huge hectares of land, just to be reasonable. And somebody has to earn that one, not just coming in to a chief and then the chief just gives them all these big chunks of land, displacing their own people. Okay, now, so talking about the big economic things that we really need to start looking at. All right, so let's look at this article, and then I'll show you a video of This article, I think, is a very good example of privilege. The one we're talking about, the privilege, like he said, the guy said, oh, they give them higher priority. So those are some of the things. And those things, it's not because the whites are racist. No, no, no. It's because we give it to them for free and they receive it. If you're given for free, who are you to say no? So here it is. Here it says Zambia's copper mines had baked racism into the workplace by labeling whites experts. You see, in Zambia, we've got this law. I don't know whether it's a law or what. A white person working in Zambia, they are regarded as expatriates. And for me, I've seen this as the way that a lot of these investors have used as a way to pay themselves higher salaries than the locals. And this is basically what this guy is talking about. You guys, you can say what you want to say. This guy's name, what's his name? His name is Duncan Money. And then you can have a look you can check this one, just Google it to find it. Okay. So you see, it starts with a bit of history there. Zambia's copper belt has been a center of the world copper industry for almost a century. When mining began on an industrial scale in the 1920s, the mines employed both migrant white and African workers. By the time of Zambia's independence in 1964, around 7,500 white workers and 38,000 African workers were employed on the mines. Although they worked alongside each other, white and African mine workers did not do the same jobs. There was a clear racial division in the workplace during the colonial period. So the best paid skilled workers jobs were reserved for white workers, okay, who had organized themselves into a trade union. They had their own trade union and enforced a color bar, where if you are not in this color category, you will not be paid according to same as us. You are supposed to be paid as a low grade worker, The average white mine worker was paid almost 10 times the average African mine worker in 1960. This is happening today in Zambia. I can guarantee you in Zambia. Just check. I know. I've heard of that a lot already. So now, he says what is puzzling is that this continued after Zambian independence. So this was during colonial. The highlighted part there is during colonial time. So during colonial time, you would say, "Oh yeah, because of colonialism, so that's why these guys were paid more." But no, we ourselves gave away and gave them this privilege after independence. You're going to see that it continued after independence when there were hopes that it would disappear. Blatantly racist organization of the workplaces had become increasingly unacceptable. That was unacceptable in 1950s and then also in the early 1960s under the heavy pressure from African Mine Workers Union. So part of the independence struggle was we need to get paid like them. And these politicians, what did they do? Yes, you'll be paid like them. Okay? Just continue fighting, continue fighting, continue fighting. And the moment they won the independence, those politicians did not even fulfill that. They just started giving them free things. I won't mention which politicians. So this presented the copper belt mining companies with a problem. Okay. So after independence, this presented the copper belt mining companies with a problem. There was a problem now. Now that we've got independence, these Africans want to be paid like the white people. No, no, no. So this is a big problem. How can we avoid this? How can we avoid this? That's how it was. That's how it was. And that's how it's still like that up to now. We make rules and laws against ourselves. We make laws and rules that are racist against ourselves. I don't advocate for any rules that are racist against ourselves or against white people. No. I just advocate for rules that are equal for each and every person. And then it should be only apply, the position should only apply to people who are qualified for them. That's what myself I would argue. Not just because, oh no, because it's white, so they have to be in this category. It's black, they have to be in this category. Okay. So if you read this present day problem with mining companies, white mine workers were paid very high wages, and the dismantling of racial division meant these wages and benefits could be extended to Africans. The frightening implications for operating costs. So these bosses at the mines, including the politicians, okay, because these decisions cannot be made without politicians in Zambia. No, this is a political decision, and they made it sure that, look, if now we've got independence, it will mean that all these white people who stayed back, they are working. It will mean that we will have to be paying the black people the same amount as the white people. That's a no. Who was saying that? It's not the white people, it's the us, the black people. So we had the solution. Okay, and the solution, my friend, was expatriate. The solution was the creation of an expatriate category for workers, for white employees. Okay, this was explicitly a racial category. All African employees were designated as local, even if they had been born in Malawi or Tanzania. So basically, an expatriate is a person coming from another country, going to work in another country, okay, for a specialist sort of skill, okay. But we had people from Malawi, from Zimbabwe, working in Zambia who were qualified, but those guys were not considered as expatriate, but as local. So they were paid a local wage, a low local wage, 10 times below. Just imagine ourselves. And then you complain about, oh, whites racist. Anyway, guys, this is big. This is big. All white employees were designated expatriates, even if they had been born on the Copper Belt, even if they are born in Zambia. Up to today, white people who are in Zambia, they're born in Zambia. At work, they're getting paid more as an expatriate. Why? Because we did it. We, not white people. We can complain whatever we want. We can complain how we want. We can complain. This is, guys. Okay. The company's definition of expatriate was skilled white labor. Okay, so there's another one I saw here. In the Copper Belt, the category of experts educated a dual wage structure, and one that persists up to now, you see. Expatriates received wages and benefits that no African employee could receive, regardless of skill or experience. That is post-independence. Now, the companies hoped this would get around aspirations among African mine workers for higher wages. Even the term expatriate was chosen to emphasize that wages received by white workers were unattainable for the African worker. Ourselves, not we, not the person, not another person doing it for us. I think I'm going to go fast here. Let's look at this one. I think shrewdly, company executives suggested they emphasize to government, you see, that a local person and unskilled should not earn as much as a cabinet minister. Zambia's new independence government accepted the plan to create categories for expatriate and local employment. Okay? So, this is how it was. This is how it was. Okay? So, up to today, you see this is happening. Politically, the companies thought this would be a hard pill for the government to swallow. The United Nations of Independence was officially multiracial, and white Zambians had played a prominent role in the independence struggle. Okay, there was a policy of Zambianization to repress white workers with Zambian nationals, but there were other policies to limit wage growth for mine workers, which were already much higher than wages for African workers in other economic sectors. So this other one where it says a low skilled worker should not be paid higher than a government minister. So we've made classes within our systems in Zambia. If you're a minister, you have to get paid this. Nobody should come close to that. So this is how we give privilege to the white minority in Zambia. It's by design by ourselves. I think this is a very good article. If you want to go through this, you can just check it, just Google it, and then you find it. All right. So basically, that's how we've done it. We've given the privilege on a silver platter just because we don't want ourselves to make it. That's how we are. That's how we are. So let me leave you with this video, and then I'll talk about it, and then we'll close off for this. Okay, so watch this.
Under British rule, the white man was master of all he surveyed. With independence in 1964, he became the reluctant teacher of Africans, gradually taking over places like this Mufulira mine. Now, a few of Zambia's 76,000 whites are leaving the country. Many more talk about it, saying they have no future among 3,400,000 liberated Africans. This is dangerous for Zambia because it is the skilled white supervisors and executives who make the wheels of industry and trade go round. Black nationalism is fiery here in what was once called Northern Rhodesia, but as yet there aren't nearly enough trained Africans to take over many white jobs properly. Africans sometimes resent the much bigger money whites earn, though generally they merit it. For instance, underground at Mufulira, white section shift boss Kevin Grove makes almost $7,000 a year, 2.5 times as much as his blue-helmeted section boss, Saul Chisanga.
You see? So what you can say there, Mr. Chisanga wasn't even paid enough money, though he was doing almost the same job. He was a boss, he was a section boss there as well, but not paid same as the other white guy. But that was during colonial time, and we were fighting for against this. We went to the streets so that we can get independence, so that we can also get paid like them. But that never happened. We ourselves, we made sure that we put ourselves in a category where we can no longer get paid what the white man was being paid. So that's what I can say just to conclude. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a great day. Cheers, guys.